volunteer to be useful. wanna dance by water beneath the Mexican sky. Drink some margaritas by swinging blue lights. Listen to the mariachi play at midnight. Are you with me? Are you with me? I wanna dance by water.
So, hi. Hello. Hello. Can you hear me? Yeah. So, how are you today? Feeling ready? Yeah. So, okay, I would like you to be silent. And I would like to present you today's lector. He is Chief Commercial Officer at Practica Capital and Startup LT. We are really happy to have him here. So he is an expert on business management and I would say a guru on B2B sales. So Jean-Baptiste Daguené, or simply JB, give a warm applause.
Great, thank you. Can you hear me okay? Yeah? Can you hear me at the back? Cool. Okay, so very quick intro about Startup LT on myself before we get started. So who knows about Startup LT? Great. So like 2 people look up Startup LT before to come. Great. No, I'm kidding. So, but this is going to be part of the workshop. So just to give you a quick idea, Startup LT is an in-house incubator. So an incubator accelerator is something that helps early stage entrepreneurs to achieve what we call product market fit. And product market fit is when a business is able to sell a product that the market needs, right? And what we do is we help. Yeah, that's. I was about to start dancing, but. No, I'm a terrible dancer. Yeah, I guess it will help. Yeah, cool. So we were talking about product market fit. So what is product market fit? Is when startups or early stage companies are able to sell a product where there is a need in market, and then they're able to kind of repeat or kind of improve the process to repeat the success, right? And that's what we're going to talk today during the presentation, during the workshop. And so what I'm doing, I'm helping this entrepreneur to do this. And because we work with a venture capital, meaning they invest money into ideas, into companies, the main goal is to achieve product market fit as fast and as cheap as possible, right? And to do this, we have a framework that you can of course adapt, and most probably this framework will evolve a lot in the next coming months, years, and so on. But the main idea is that you kind of get used to this type of framework. And yes, my name is Jean-Baptiste, so it's very complicated actually. In Lithuanian, I believe it's Jonas Kriškytojas. So you can call me JB, it's easier, right? All right, so just a quick intro on what we're going to cover today. So we have this frameworks, and I put it like a funnel because that's the main idea, is that you look at this like if it's a funnel. So we have 4 parts, and today we're only going to cover 2 parts. So we have the assume part. You know, that's the best part actually. Everybody loves the assume part. So it's like when you sit together with your team, and you make a lot of assumptions and you feel so smart about it and everything is making so much sense. Then you call your mom loves your idea, and your best friend as well. And you know, it's very comfortable to stay there. But unfortunately, when you do all your assumptions, you are not making any progress. So that's why you need to do the hard, boring, time-consuming part, which is the verify part, when you need to reach out to people and just verify all your assumptions and see if you were that smart after all, right? And then eventually, after you kind of verify your assumption, that's when you tune. You tune them, so you update them with real fact, and then you verify again. And then eventually you will hit a point where the assumption that you verify are correct or very close to correct, and you're moving in the right direction. And that's when eventually you're able to repeat, right? And then we're going to talk about proof of ID, POI, and proof of concept. Right? And then eventually when you have a proof of concept that business are ready to pay or are giving you kind of intention that they're ready to pay for it, that's when you start building a business, right? So today we're only going to cover assume and verify, and proof of concept and POI, proof of ID. And so before I get started, could I get an idea of how many teams we have today? So if 1 person per team could just raise their hand. Cool. Okay, great. And then how many B2B team? Okay, 3. So everyone else is B2C? So how many B2C? How many I don't know? B2B, B2C. Okay, that's great. It's going to be fun. Okay, cool. Okay, just also we're gonna set expectation before to start. So, is any of you familiar with those terms? Outbound versus inbound. So yeah, is it clear for everybody? No. Okay, cool. So outbound means that you are reaching someone, a potential client, for example, that have never heard of you before, right? So it's called outreach. And inbound is when someone is finding your website, is finding your company through Facebook, I don't know what, but they are warm leads because they come to you with a need, right? So obviously at that point you did a great job with your value proposition already, okay? So today we're mostly going to talk about outbound. Is it clear? Perfect. All right, and then in terms of expectation as well, so we always kind of set expectation with startups or whatever company we work with, that which stage they are. So let's say that here, the stage A is when you need to get your first clients, right? And usually when you get your first clients, to be honest, it's always within your first, second, or third degree connections, right? So you're reaching people that you know, that knows people, that knows a lot of people. And most of the time when we see actually first-time entrepreneurs, very, very often, I would say 50% of the case, they were working in the company. Then they were doing their job. They were good or bad at their job. Most often they were pretty good. And they found a problem. And then they started to build a solution for themselves. And they realized that this is actually a product or a service that might have a need in the market. And most of the time, or very often, the first client is actually their previous employers. Right, so that's what I'm talking about with first or second degree, third degree connections, right? So it's actually very, very important that you get to this stage where you get clients to validate your ideas and then of course to pay for your services. And then the very, very difficult next step is actually to be able to attract clients. So that's step B, like I've never heard of you before, right? So that's a very, very difficult step as well. We are giving workshops on helping startups to reach these steps, but we're not going to cover this today. And then eventually the step C is when you are able to actually learn from the step B and put some process behind, systemize everything, put some targets, and be able to say, like, if tomorrow I'm adding 100 more of potential customers from here in my funnel, I can predict that I will get X number of customers at the end, right? So you're able to repeat forecast accurately. So today we're going to, I guess, how many of you have clients already? Good. So that's what I wanted to talk about. So how to get to A, right? And how many of you have already talked with potential clients? Cool. And how many of you are planning to do it? Cool. So those are when they don't care about clients, like they just want to stay with assumptions, feel so smart and so on. Okay, cool. Right. And this is also another expectation. I really like this one. I mean, there is plenty of them, and you can find plenty of quotes about failing and so on, but basically this is what we communicate as well with the startup we are working with, that you need to be ready to fail, and that's very okay, but you need to fail as cheap and as fast as possible, right? And that's the main idea when you start working on your project, is that you're going to be wrong 90% of the time, and that's completely okay, as long as you keep moving forward and pivoting and looking for new ideas and for new assumptions and trying to verify them all the time. Right? So just be ready as well. It's not a very comfortable steps when you keep on hearing people contradicting that what you are working on is actually useless. But this might happen, and that's completely normal. It's part of the process. Right, and now I will need volunteers actually. So it's kind of hands-on, so I will need some team, at least 2 teams, to come here, and we're going to design what we call the buyer persona, the ideal customer profile, to be able to go through the value proposition later on. So it will be nice to have one B2B and one B2C team. So B2B, and who in B2C wants to come? Perfect. And I highly recommend you take notes, because afterwards we'll do another workshop where we'll need this part. Yeah. Yeah, so I'm going to put the slide. Hi, JB. Hi.
Ernus.
JB, forgot all your names already. I'm terrible with names. Hi, JB. Hi, JB. Okay, so we're going to use the whiteboard. Good, so now I'm going to start with the ideal customer profile, or what you call the buyer persona. Let's start with the B2B, okay? So we'll do it for you guys. So what do you do?
We are going to do drone, which has a thermal camera, and when it sees a thermal signature, it sends it to the security office for further investigation. So let's say it detects something, and you send the GPS coordinate.
Okay, it's gonna be fun. Okay, and you sell to B2B companies, right? Okay, so now we're gonna start with the first part, which is region. So before we get started, what I want you to understand is this part is, we are still in the assumption part, right? So we're gonna make assumption and we're gonna feel super smart about it. And then the main idea is that you start looking at all these points here, like if this will become data points, right? So meaning that you will design a lot of ideal customer profiles, and then you will have a lot of spreadsheets with a lot of companies that match these ideal customer profiles, meaning that they will become data, right? And then eventually when you start to talk to all these potential clients, you will be able to see, oh, this one they're actually talking to us, they're telling this and this and this, and at this part where they actually verify your assumption with a proof of concept, you're able to say, oh, so this is the type of data points that are actually stuck in this part, and meaning that we can update this ideal customer profile. Do you follow me, or is total Chinese?
No, it's clear.
Cool. So you have to tell me. I also have this French accent, so if you don't tell me. Good, okay. So which countries or regions you target?
Basically, we're going to target Lithuanian region.
Okay.
Because we think this is our main market.
Okay. So Lithuania. Cool. So I guess we can split it by cities and have more data points moving on, right? Okay. And then verticals or industries. So to give you an example of verticals and industries, let's take a company that is selling services to online shops, okay? And so e-commerce could be the industry, right? Or yeah, e-commerce, online retailing could be the industry. And then the verticals could be, actually the first online retailing industry is travel. So the vertical could be travel. The second vertical could be fashion. The third vertical could be, I don't know, like pet products, whatever. Do you follow me? Okay, so okay, so security companies. Okay.
It's more of like not security companies, but the companies which need security. So
Okay, that's good. So the companies that are already doing securities, they are not your clients.
they could be. It could be.
Okay.
In terms, they would be offering this solution to.
Okay, so you see, like already I see two types of ICPs. I see the final clients that you want to reach directly, and the reseller.
Sort of, yeah.
Yeah. So let's focus on one ICP today. So do you want to talk about the reseller or the final client? Okay, no problem. So then industries are very wide, I guess. It's any companies that needs security, right? No matter. But if they have drones, if you need drones, they need to have some kind of.
Sort of large perimeters and areas which the drone would cover.
Mm-hmm.
So we are thinking about like military organizations and border security.
As a final client.
Yes.
Okay.
And
Also dangerous places where people cannot reach the
cannot push.
Okay, so I will put energy, for example, as an industry. Military. I know my handwriting is terrible. And then I will put to be completed, okay, for the rest. But we get the idea, okay? And then the main idea is that you need to reverse engineer, and like you said, like what are the companies that are outside with large area to cover that, and then try to look for these companies. I mean, a good way is to actually define industries is that you kind of have an idea of what type of companies, you know the name of this company that's actually need your services. So you just look up this company on LinkedIn. Everybody knows what is LinkedIn, right? Yeah. Good. And then when you look up this company on LinkedIn, this company will have an industry. And that's how and then you can make an assumption that if this company has this industry on LinkedIn, most likely other company in the same industry will also use this as their industry, okay? So always think as well to reverse engineer it. Good, and then, so for verticals, I guess you can do it later. So for example, military could be in security, and then military is actually a vertical of security, right? And energy, then you could have different type of energy companies. So this is what is vertical, okay? And then another important criteria is actually size. And size, if you have a B2B companies, can be many different type of criteria. So the one criteria is that is actually kind of easy to get when you do list of potential prospects is number of employees, because that's a data point that you can have actually in any markets that you target, like in website like Requisite.lt or in LinkedIn and so on and so on. So you can always have this one. And then according to other markets, you also have revenue and so on and so on. But again, maybe sometimes these two data points to define the size are useless, because again, if I take this example of I'm selling a tool or a service to online shop, I actually don't care about the number of employees. What I care is actually how many sales they do. And they can be 3 guys, super smart, doing drop shipping. They have no stock. They just ship product from supplier to the end clients. And they can be 3 employees and making more turnover than a company with 100. So what matters for me in this example, if I need to make assumptions, so I'm not talking to the client yet. So if I need to make assumption, I will use different tools. And one of the tools is called Alexia. And it will give me the ranking of the website according to their traffic. So this will be the size data points that matter to me. For example, in this case, if I'm selling a tool, so last weekend I did another workshop with startups, and for example, it was one of the B2B startups had a chatbot for restaurant to do online ordering through their Facebook page. You know, like you go, there is a chatbot, it chats with you on Facebook, what do you want to order, blah, blah, blah. You place your order on the Facebook page. So what mattered to them to kind of have an idea of the size of the restaurant was actually the number of likes. More likes the page will have on Facebook, more chance they will have that they will need a chatbot, right? So you get the idea, the logic. There is no strict rules. So what do you think matters in terms of size for your business, your idea? Okay, that's a good one. Okay.
And, I think the finances and the amount of money the company could actually provide for this.
Yeah, but now you are doing assumption. Yeah, but it's okay, just continue, but just be aware that you are doing assumptions. And before to reach out to them, it's maybe going to be difficult to find out this number or not.
Yeah.
Okay?
Level of dangerous work in there, for example, thefts, which happen.
Okay, so this is for later, but this is good. Now we are talking about the size. So I will also assume that if we look at some companies, potentially some factories, what will matter is the number of employees, and you will assume that if it's in this or this industries, it will be X number of blue collars that are actually working in the factories, right? So you could make some assumptions also based on this. So actually I will believe that, no, but maybe I'm wrong, tell me.
No. Oh, what about level of security? I mean, if we
So how do you calculate? Okay. So no, continue, I'm just writing it down. Number of employees, yeah, continue.
So if we target companies which have like a really high security rate.
Okay, so now, so you are going on LinkedIn, you are going on Requisite.lt, you are going on, I don't care which database. So how do you see the security rating before to talk to them?
I mean, there are some probably governmental pages which probably give us some.
I don't know, but that's what I was telling about, like we are assuming now, so it sounds super smart what you're saying, and I want to agree with you, but but maybe, okay, security rating, so it's to double check as well, right? Security rating. Okay. All right, so now this part we will use it. So this is about the company here. Company. And we will use it to generate list of potential companies, right? So this is how we get started, and we will try to build a value proposition for this type of companies when we are getting ready to work on our value proposition, okay? Now we're going to move to the ideal contact. So when we reach out, I'm going to leave some place for the B2C here, for the contacts. And again, when we talk about B2C, I'm pretty sure a big part of you, even though you do a consumer product, you will need companies to distribute this product, right? In most of the case. And in this case, you will also need to do this for who are the companies that are going to distribute your product to end user, right? So now when we do the ideal contacts for companies, we always have 3 types of contact. We have the decision makers, we have the influencers, and we have the internal champion. So let me explain you who are these 3 guys. So obviously the decision makers are the people that are able to take a decision on if your product is actually a fit for their company or not. They are most likely the one that's going to have the budget and that will be able to say yes or no if they need your product, right? And then obviously the influencer, so if it's a small business, it's the owner of the company or the one below, right below, like the number 2 director, managing director or whatever of the companies. If it's a big corporation, most often it's going to be vice president or director level. Okay, and then obviously the decision maker have influencers that are managers in the company working for him or for her, right? And the influencer also have some KPIs and so on and so on. And then the champion is actually the most likely, very often, an assistant of the manager, right? And now, just also as part of the exercise to build your value proposition, we're going to make very dead simple assumptions. We're going to make assumptions that these people that are working for this type of organizations, they have business-oriented KPIs. Do you know what KPIs stand for? Yes, right? So that these are key performance indicators that they need to reach to kind of keep their jobs, right? And so when we design the ideal customer profile, we kind of make assumptions of what are the KPIs of these people. So then if I'm reaching out to them, I kind of know what is their job, and I want to show them that with my product, they can actually make I can actually make their job easier. And if I make their job easier, if they can reach their KPIs faster, or in an easier way, then they can, get faster their bonus. They can maybe get more bonus, or maybe they just can get home and watch more TV. I don't care. But that's the exercise we're going to do. So who do you think is the decision makers? And then again, keep in mind that in small and medium businesses, the decision maker is very often the owner of the company. And if you move to bigger company, it's a different level. And sometimes in bigger company, the CEO is not the owner. Do you follow? Yeah. Cool. So who do you think is the decision maker? So, okay, so you think the purchase manager or director in bigger company is the decision maker. Okay, so okay, but this is interesting. So you see, I see already. We're gonna try to focus on keep it like narrow, but I see already 3 types of ICPs. So we have, for example, in military, we have governmental and private, right? See, there's 2 types of ICP with 2 types of decision makers. And then when we look at corporate, we have the small and medium and the big one. And we have 2 types of decision maker, right? So I don't care which one you want to choose, but we need to choose one of them just to stay focused, because then the KPIs in governmental and in corporate will be completely different, I assume. So which one you want to pick? Okay, so energy. So in energy companies, what, like big or small? Big. Okay, so in big energy companies that are private, so I think it's very important, like private, public. And you see, like, you already are creating more ICP profiles. So what you are doing is you are creating separate leads. They become several data points, and you can just go and verify all your assumptions. Okay? So now we focus on private energy companies. So who are the decision makers? In big companies, you think the CEO will just be responsible to buy drones? Okay, I think you are wrong, but that's part of the exercise. It's okay. So CEO, and so what do you think are the KPIs of the CEOs that are related to your value proposition, which we haven't defined yet? Cost. Okay. So reduce cost. So yeah. So reduce cost. Okay. Sorry? So CEO cares about maintenance time.
Everything working properly, and without security it wouldn't work properly.
Okay. But so they have no they have no security today.
They do.
Okay. Okay, I will believe that in these companies there is someone responsible for security. And that's maybe a better person to reach than the CEO.
But wouldn't that be an influencer that would influence the decision maker to actually?
It depends. If the I have no idea, guys. I've never sold drones, right? I'm just making an assumption, and together we feel so smart, and that's great. But I'm just assuming that it depends. If the CEO just says that my KPI is that my company is run according to the security process, checked. That's it. And then the security manager has a budget. If you help him to save his budget, or if you improve to, if you help the security manager or director to increase his rating, whatever rating you are talking about, then checked. He's getting more bonus, or she's getting more bonus on her performance based on this. So that's what I will assume. I just assume that the CEO job is actually to manage people, place people in every department, make sure that the business is running well, and that the bottom line, the profit is positive.
Yeah.
But that's just an assumption. Okay, so let's update. Yeah. So if it's a big company, I will put minimum director level. So just for you to know, it usually goes like C level. So C is CEO, Chief Commercial Officer, Chief Financial Officer, blah blah blah. Then you have VP, not so much in Lithuania, but still director, then manager, and then it's kind of Disneyland of titles, like head. Whatever, and actually head sometimes is here or whatever. So, but what you care is VP, director, managers, and then it's basically internal champions. Okay. So what do you think the director of security is responsible for in terms of KPIs? Like, if I hire a security manager or director, what I will measure the performance of this person on, according to if she is or he is doing a good job. And just a pro tip on this one. So we have designed hundreds, I think close to 1,000 of ICP profiles with different type of early stage startups, but actually also later stage companies. And when you attack a new market or try to enter a new market where you have limited knowledge, actually a good trick to kind of figure out the KPIs of the people you want to reach out and see that if it's already a correct assumption or not at this stage, is to actually look for a job, look for job ads of the title that you want to approach, in the region you want to approach, in the industry you want to approach, with the size of companies you want to approach. And you will see that after looking after 5 job ads of director of security in Lithuania and private energy companies of X size of employees, you will see a pattern that every time they require the employees to have this or this or this sets of skills. Then you could assume again that based on this, I'm assuming that these are KPIs that are standard for this industry to be responsible for. And so this is homework to do afterward, but it actually works pretty well. Okay, so let's make assumptions. What do you think are the KPIs of the security manager? So how do you measure the problem solving?
Because when something happens, then the security comes and the time that it takes to find it out, where it happened and what happened, and then...
Okay, so I like it. So KPIs has to be measurable. So in time to solve... Number of what? Time to solve problem. That's good. I think it's a good assumption. That's a KPI that's measurable, that you can improve on, and so on. Okay. Number of problem maybe, or
Number of break-ins, both detected or done.
break-in detected. Or do you measure the one that you did not detect? Detected. Okay, and number of catch, right? Okay. All right, so we can spend actually whole day on this, but let's move on, okay? So I will assume that he has a team of security managers that is working for him, right? KPIs, okay. So this one will not do. Okay, so what do you think the KPIs who is working for the directors of the manager are?
I think we put some of the KPIs for the director, which should have been
Okay.
and sort of ease of access, ease of using the system, as opposed to having dogs that have a fence. I don't know. Just
Yeah, but how do you measure the ease of access?
ease of using the system. So instead of
So how do you measure it?
through like time.
So it's a KPIs for the security manager? So then that's for him. Reaction time, okay.
That's what I said that
Okay.
The first KPI for which we assigned,
Okay. Okay, okay. And so here, basically, you miss some kind of budget related to human resources and stuff like that. Okay, so it's good. It's a good draft, right? So then you know where to continue on, okay? And then the champion. We will not do the champion today simply because usually we never reach out the champion when you do outbound, right? So we never reach out the champion when you are doing cold outreach or when you want to kind of verify some assumptions, because simply because you will need to sell from the bottom to the top twice. And just too tough. And they have no authority whatsoever. But it's important to have the champion profile in mind, because if you start to do marketing activities like writing blog posts, creating white papers, your mom gonna read your blog, that's for sure. But also, if you get, good at it, who is gonna look for it? Who is gonna look for content related to his or her industries in your blog or over the internet? It's definitely not the influencer and decision manager that are way too busy and they think they know everything already. It's this young junior manager or associate in the companies who is kind of looking for new ways to do his job in a better way. So that's the champion. And then it's going to be your champion, or she's going to be your champion in the organization to kind of push forward. And then eventually at some point the champion will kind of become a manager, or the champion will be involved in a pilot project to be like a kind of project manager for the pilot, and he gonna know about your product, okay? So that's with the champion. Good, and then we need to define your value proposition strengths. So we didn't talk about your value propositions yet, but we always categorize the value proposition in 3 different ways to actually decide if we approach the influencer or the decision maker. So let me explain. So we have 3 types of value proposition strengths. And again, the strengths can be different according to if it's governmental, if it's private, if it's a big or small companies, because these are different ICP. Do you follow? Perfect. So we have the first one. The strength is a painkiller. So we always, categorize the problem in the market as a pain. So your value proposition strength is a painkiller, so that's super strong. And how we define if a product or a service is a painkiller is rather simple. Again, we make very dead simple assumption, and we believe that every company needs to make profit, so they have KPIs oriented in this direction. And if your product can have return on investment, so let's say I invest 10,000 euro in your drone solution, and after 3 months I'm already saving 3,000 euro. And after 3 months, I'm just making more profit. Then it's a painkiller, right? A vitamin is so if I have a painkiller, I can actually sell it straight to decision maker, because one of their KPIs most of the time is to save on the budget or become more profitable, blah blah blah. Okay. A vitamin can also have ROI. The only difference when I have a painkiller on a vitamin is that the vitamin will only solve the KPIs of the influencer. So to give you an example that everybody can understand, rather simple, I'm selling a tool or a software for designers, right? So, a designer that is doing design on software. So his boss is actually the director of marketing, or the CMO, or whatever you want to call it in a companies. So if I'm approaching the CMO or the director of marketing and I tell him about our super tool to improve the design of the software, to improve the design or to do the design faster and so on, most probably he will not care. Simply because the KPIs of the director of marketing are not related to design. It's related maybe that we need to launch the website, new website or X brochure or whatever in X period of time for X type of budgets, and I have one designer on the team, and if he's on target with this, I don't care how he does it or how she does it, right? And then which is fine, and that's just how it is. But if I approach an influencer and I can tell this influencer that you can actually design this part of whatever in 10 hours instead of 1 week, then I'm talking KPIs to him, right? And then I have a vitamin product. Okay? So the only difference is when I sell a vitamin and a painkiller, when I sell a painkiller, most of the time, even though the decision maker will introduce me to the influencer to talk about my product, I will have authority. Because the decision maker tell me, talk to Jimmy. And Jimmy's boss is the decision maker. So I come with authority. And when I sell to influencer, I need to sell from the bottom to the top, which is fine. If I know it moving like from the beginning, I can get ready to adapt my process to it. Okay? And then you have the last category, which is a plugin. So when we categorize a plugin, a product or a service as a plugin, is actually a product that is either not adding any new business to the pipeline, not adding new offers, potential new offers, creating new way of upselling the clients, so selling new product to clients and so on and so on. It's just a nice to have product that is always kind of not the priority for the company. So what do you think for private energy company, the strength of your value proposition is?
We have thought about it, and it's more related to not, you see, typical security right now includes building fences, putting security cameras, and so on and so on.
Yeah.
Our proposition is autonomous, and that would be, like, as I said, easier.
So will they have return on investment on it, yes or no?
Yes, in a large scale, yes, in a small scale, not.
So, okay.
If the customer is a small area, it wouldn't be profitable for him.
Okay, so if it's a small area, it's a plugin. If it's a big one, it's a painkiller.
Yes.
Okay, I know we are doing the big one ICP, so it's most likely a painkiller.
Yes.
At least that's what we think.
That's what
Okay, so funny enough, every time we do ICP, everybody for the first ICP believes that they have a painkiller. But that's okay, you have a painkiller as well. Cool. And then the extra one that we have, the deal breaker and the switching cost. I will just put SC. Okay, so the deal breaker is basically anything that this type of companies have. So they can be like your perfect ideal custom profile according to everything on the top, but there is always a deal breaker. For example, I don't know if it's a governmental institution, they are not allowed to work with your company if you are not ISO, I don't know what, certified. Damn it. You are not ISO certified. You know, stuff like that. So these are the type of deal breakers that you need to be ready for. And why we put it here? Because sometimes we have this very not nice surprise that we arrive at the contract part. So we have done 3 months of work. We have done a pilot project and all this stuff. And then there is this last point. Oh, by the way, are you ISO certified? And I'm ready to... No, you're not. So you just wasted everybody's time. And instead of, going forward, you could just ask at the beginning, oh, by the way, do you need this and this and this? Or, and just verify and then maybe pause the project until you have this covered. So do you think you have some deal breakers?
Yeah.
So what are the deal breakers?
I'm sort of thinking my whole. So the deal breaker would be the upfront costs for development, the lead time, and
No, but that's not a deal breaker. This is part of the negotiation. So a deal breaker could be. Let me give you another example. When you sell softwares, that are hosted on what you call the cloud, so they are online, to banks. Most of the time, the bank will tell you, your software is okay, but we need the software to be hosted in our local server. And that's a deal breaker if you cannot provide this. So a deal breaker is more something that, like the price is not a deal breaker. The price is something that you need to negotiate. But it's fine. We just think about it. It's so we can put certification maybe to be completed. You need to double check certification. Okay, and then so the last one, and then we'll move to B2C. We have the switching cost. So the switching cost is actually not a cost per se. So for example, if I'm selling again a software, and let's say I'm selling a software to marketing and sales director, they both agree that the software that I'm offering is actually amazing and they love it. It's a CRM system. It's cheaper than what they use today. It's much better. It's the best software that they have ever seen. Yet, they have 20 influencers that are working for them. And these 20 other influencers are already using another software. And now we need to convince them, not even to convince them, but we need to help them to switch and use the other one. And even though my software is cheaper, better, faster, whatever, and the decision makers, both of them, they like it, I still have to have the switching cost. And if the influencers are not using my software, it's just use less software. Right? So that's the switching cost, and then I need to be ready in my sales process or when I kind of present this to this company that, well, we will help you or provide onboarding for your software and so on. Do you follow? So do they have a switching cost? I believe yes. Okay. So we're not going to talk about how we will cover this today, but you need to be aware of this. Whenever you design your value proposition, this is what you are looking at. And you cannot ignore the switching cost. Even though in the long term you will be cheaper or whatever, you just need to make it easier that maybe actually you will remove one person job. And you know, this type of stuff you need to be ready.
Those families who are thinking like, oh, my partner will come back or not. Like they're doing dangerous things.
Mm-hmm.
So we're changing material with a
Mhm.
human being. So
Yeah, this is fine. This is fine. But
but this
yeah, so it's just the switching cost. You need to be ready to have something to address this very proposition. Okay. Cool. So now let's do the B2C, and then we'll move to the other exercise. So I need you to stay here. Okay. Do we have question regarding the B2B ICP? Yeah. Tell me. Yeah, you can, but that's not on the ICP profile. Okay, you can do your ICP, your competitors research, and there is actually a couple of ways to kind of make list of companies that are using your competitors, and that's great. But it's not part of the ICP profile. Make sense? Do we have other question about B2B? Cool. So everyone are experts here. Perfect. All right. And by the way, I will share this presentation as a PDF afterward, and we have a template that is on Google Spreadsheets, so meaning it's public, so you can also download it, you can use it, and you can use the frameworks we are using already with quite a few companies. Okay? And then, okay, so about B2C. Okay, so for the B2C, so B2B and B2, oops, opposite, B2B, B2C. All right, so tell me what you do.
It's a sport activity club.
Uh-huh.
So it's a social network that connects sport enthusiasts, trainers, group trainings, and places where people love to do sport.
You've heard of Facebook, right?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. I'm kidding. Okay, so I'm just going to challenge you all the way. Cool. Okay, so this is how we do actually so it's very old school, right? How we do the B2C profile. It's a bit different than the B2B, and in some case we kind of need both because you will need companies to redistribute it, but if I understand it's a digital product like an app or website that they go directly. Okay, cool. All right, so we have occupation. Then we have the age and sex. Then we have, I think, the location, income first, location, education, and then we also have the same very proposition. Education, okay. Very proposition, strengths, and deal breakers. Okay, so let's get started. Okay, so let's start with age and sex. I usually have this one. So what are the type of person that you are reaching, and what type of age are they, like between 18 25, from 25 to 30, or what type of, are they female, male, both? It can be a lot. It can be super wide. It doesn't really matter.
So it would be talking about the sex. It would be female males.
Okay. Female and male, and age.
So we are thinking about, we started with the young people we were thinking, but from other side, I think people who are using internet and apps, so until 40,
From 16 till...
till 40, till 50.
Okay, so it's pretty wide.
Yeah.
From 16 till 40. Okay. And here, I'm just going to change colors, run out of black. You said that they are using internet on app.
Yeah, but just internet or apps.
Okay, okay, so but that's fine. So I'm just actually going to update the deal breakers because it means that if they don't use smartphone,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
okay. So no smartphone, that's a deal breaker. Okay. no internet. You know, simple stuff. Okay, and for example, also if you only have an iOS app and not Android, you know, stuff like this. This just to give you an example. Okay. Okay, and then occupation. So what? So they are from 16 to 40. So let's say the one that are active, that are kind of working. Does it matter if they are more like, you know, blue collar, white collar, meaning that? Okay. So this one is not available. Okay, and location.
We're thinking like to start from Lithuania, but
Mm-hmm.
we want to challenge ourselves with Europe.
Okay, Lithuania and then Europe. Okay. Okay, and then income. So do you categorize them also based on their income or not?
No, because our customers have a free access to our, let's say, site, and those who are offering the gyms and everything will have to pay.
But if, what you're saying, you're
Uh-huh.
right, but if we're thinking, for example, it would be also a different type of sport. For example,
Okay.
from free activities to personal trainers.
Okay.
Personal trainers, well, if you want to get a personal trainer, of course you need to get more income, yeah.
Okay, so according to your product,
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
okay, so you have two type of income. That according to if they, yeah, okay. Okay, if you want. So I'll just put two types, and you need to define the range, okay? Because we need to,
Yeah.
we need to move on with the clock. So two type of income to be completed, okay? Okay, and education. Does it matter to you or not?
No.
Okay. And I can, from just one simple thing you said, like I can see that you also need a B2B profile for the gym, for the clubs, right? But so we're not going to cover. But it's very good that you do. So this is the product for the digital mobile app or the social network. And this is probably the product that you're going to offer to the gyms. And here, this is where you make money. Okay, cool. And then your value proposition. So let's talk about not the gyms, but your value proposition for the users, right? So it's actually very similar to B2B. Like, do they get return on investment? Meaning, well, it's free. But, you know, will they improve this? Will they be able to do this in less times or less kind of money? I mean, cheaper than what they used to do before.
Same time, and of course, the gyms would offer different prices, so that they could get more customers.
Yeah, but let's talk about not the gym. I mean, it's very interesting, and I've done actually many ICP profile of gyms and clubs and stuff like that. But now let's talk. If it's not clear, it's fine. We can move on, and you can define it later. But
you're talking about trainers and so on. Or
so, who are this person? Are they the trainers, or are they the user of your?
about the customers.
Yes. So from this one, when they use your app, so if it's a painkiller, they have a return on investment. So meaning that if they invest 10 hours in your app, they will actually had to, like with the other system that they used before, they will have to use 15 hours instead, right? So then it's a painkiller value proposition for this type of people, okay?
I think I don't know if you agree. I think it's not painkiller.
Okay,
It's life.
okay,
But of course it's a discussion.
okay, okay.
Because it's nice to have. It's not.
So then if it's nice to have, it's a plugin.
No.
Okay, okay, so it's okay, let's move on. You need to talk to these people and define, okay. Okay, cool. So let's move to the next exercise.
Okay.
Okay, so now we'll talk how we design the value proposition. So this is not the slide, right? So this is the slide where you can download the template afterward. But how we design the value proposition with the startup we are working with, okay? And always what we say is the problem when you assume, and that's why you need to stop assuming, is that you are always making an ass of you and me, right? So that's why we need to verify our assumption. And And now just a quick crash course on what is a sales funnel, right? So it actually can work as well. It's just a bit different for B2C, but that's an example of a very simplified B2B sales funnel, right? So I'm taking my ICP, all my data points became pie charts, okay? Because these are data. So I have a list of companies that actually match this ICP. Do you follow? Okay. Then I push them on the first step. Let's say I'm selling pen, right? So I have two types of pen. I just only have one now. And one of my pen is actually able to cross thousands of boxes like per day for 1 year. It's amazing pen. And then I have another pen. It's very expensive. It's good looking. It's in gold, whatever you want, and it looks super nice. The best pen you have ever looked at. And so I'm making an ICP of companies that I assume will need pen in X industry, region, whatever. One of the deal breaker is that actually a company is paperless. They move digital. They don't use papers anymore. So I will assume that if they are paperless, they don't need pen. And I will try to make assumption that X and X industries are paperless, so I will remove them to my ICP, blah, blah, blah. So the first thing I'm doing is I'm actually building lists. So I'm in the qualification stage. And then I'm reaching out to these people. And part of the qualification will be like actually reaching out and asking if they want to talk to me and if they're interested with my value proposition. And then I'm moving to discover. So before to sell, I actually have a lot of list. I have a list of questions. And my questions are rather simple. They are based on my ICP. So I have a list of questions to verify this. So and the goal really when you reach out to them and you do the discovery part, and that's what we're going to talk about now, is to get them talk, whether they are B2C or B2B, 80% of the time, right? And you just need to ask them, so I've looked your company up and your business model is rather this or this from what I know and blah, 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 but can you tell me more about your role, what you're responsible for, and you just have a list of questions that are related to their KPIs, right? And eventually what you want to agree, if I'm selling pen, is, what do you do every day? Well, you know, what we do with pen every day is actually we are crossing thousands of boxes every day. Great, so if you cross thousands of boxes every day, you know, these are the type of product you need because it can actually cross 1,000 boxes every day, right? And that's it, so you discover a pain and you agree about the pain and then you put your value proposition. So I'm giving a super simple example, right? And then if the guy is saying me, you know, we don't use much pen, we use pen maybe twice a month when we sign super expensive contract with super important people that come and they look like, they're dressed like super well and blah, 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 and we need to give a very nice impression. Well, then you need this super expensive, cool-looking pen, right? And that's when I start selling, after I discover the pain, right? And then eventually that's when I close. And it's a funnel, meaning that I cannot sell and close everybody. So that's a very kind of 1 minute crash course on sales funnel, right? And the main idea is that you see your ICP, and like I was telling you, there are data points. So let's say if you are doing your job well, and we're not going to cover this today, but you should be able to, for example, extract the data points I discover or sell, and say, oh, here these are the ICP that are actually moving here. So then my assumption that have been verified, I can tune it and improve, right? So that's the main idea. So now we're going to talk about the best way to outreach in B2B and B2C, and what are the goals. So you can actually, when they are small and medium businesses, cold call is still a go channel. Like many people are telling you that cold calling is dead and it's finished, and now it's all about cold emailing and blah, blah, blah. I think it's bullshit. You still have actually a lot of companies, and we are working with startups, that just don't use emails. Or some of the like decision makers that you target, part of their job is not to have a computer. They just don't need computer to do their job, so you just need to cold call these people, and that's it, right? So we had companies that were selling product to a dentist and all the dentist kind of ecosystem. These people, like, they had to call and book an appointment when they will be next to a computer, right? So and that's just okay. So you need to define this, and this is part of your ICP exercise. And then of course it's easier also if you kind of do export, if you have a native speakers that can reach the native market, I mean in the native language, right? And then of course when you email enterprise, so big companies, right? So let's say we can say from 200 to 500 plus companies, cold email is a great way also to reach these companies, simply because what we call the gatekeeper, so the receptionist or the personal assistant of these people, or the company's department are too big that it's too difficult to call just a random number and get them. Right? But then again, just to give you some example, you can also be very creative. So we were doing some work with an Estonian startup and they were actually sending handwritten postcard to their ICP to book a meeting. And it's worked pretty well because they were sending postcard, and of course they had a almost non-existent reply rate on the postcard. But then when they were following up on the call, the people were taking up the call because it was very mysterious. Like, who are these people with exotic name from Estonia that send me a postcard about what this and that, right? So, and then they were able to move forward. And for the big companies that they really, really wanted to meet, they actually sent a cake. And on the cake it was written, "We are sorry, we haven't met you yet." And then they were following up like, "Did you receive my cake?" Right? So I didn't put it there, but we also have cold caking and cold like postcard as a new way, as a new channel to outreach, right? So meaning like there is, and like few years ago they were sending cold fax and cold letters. I mean, it's always, you need to be on the top of your game and always find new ways and creative ways to outreach your ICP, right? If you need to have a drone flying over their place and just dropping like, "This place is not safe, call me," then why not? It's, you know, just be creative in that way to attract attention, right? And then in B2C, I mean, especially when you need to verify, right? So at this part, we don't want to sell. We want to verify. We want to discover, right? We have nothing to sell at the moment. So, I mean, so Facebook or any social media group are actually a great way to kind of go there and talk to people. And then again, you don't need to be sellish. What you want is ask questions and you know, get some replies. And then actually Twitter is a great place as well, because I'm not going to go into details, but let's say that Twitter is one of the only social media left where you can use a robot to build lists. So if you go on Facebook, on LinkedIn, it's against their terms and conditions, and it's very difficult to build a robot that can do this. But on Twitter, you can actually easily create lists of people based on keywords. And then what is very interesting is, we did that many times, is if you take, you know about Twitter, right? So if you take what they call the Twitter handle, so the handle is the @ and then it's my nickname, right? And you just add Gmail after it. 50% of this is correct email. I know I was surprised by 50%, and sometimes it's even higher. But it's super easy to create, you know, list of potential clients that you want to talk with, just by looking at Twitter followers of a company that is actually doing social, for example, sport activities and this and this and this, that could target the same type of persona that you have, right? So social media in real life, it's good. And then, I mean, you need to go face to face with the B2C and have all these interviews. And again, you don't want to sell. So be just honest and just go in universities, ask people. I mean, shopping centers, mall, wherever you think your ICP is. So if you need to go to talk to people that have interest in sport activities, just go to gym, right? Just go to trade show where they present this type of stuff. Just go wait at the end of a mall where there are like 3 big shop stores, right? And just go there and ask questions about your assumptions to verify them, right? It's much more efficient than just, you know, staying there in our room and making some research and reading some reports and stuff like that. Okay? And then the goal again is to requalify, so meaning that you actually requalify your assumptions and kind of update. So this was wrong, this is good, we have a new assumption based on this and this that we need to verify, blah, blah, blah. And then eventually, best case scenario, because these people won't have time to talk to you, like even if it's B2B or B2C, they won't have time to talk to you forever, like at this exact time when you catch them. So it's to book what we call a discovery, a demo call, or a meeting. So to book a new meeting if they're interested, where you actually show your product or your services. And then here you have another framework that you follow to kind of discover them, right? And then again, the goal is to not, we are not selling here. So I'm going to show you a couple of examples, and then we're going to do a workshop, an exercise where we're going to practice, okay? So a few examples that we did for when we call, so some best practice. So the person that pick up the phone is we call this person a gatekeeper, right? So she or he think that they are actually ruling the company. They just pick up the call, and their job is to actually, part of their job is KPIs is to pass these calls. So it's actually useless to pitch this person, right? Do not verify all your ICP question with this person. But it's important to kind of build a social proof and build up on your credibility. So you can say that I'm working with other companies or this and that, or just to put this person in charge. Just say that this is what I'm looking for, this is what I'm trying to verify. Who do you think is the best person to talk to in this company, right? Build a rapport and be friendly and be honest. Don't lie, and just put this person in charge, because this person is actually in charge of your call, right? And then the best advice I can give, and this also works for B2C, even though it's not a cold call, it's just you go on outreach, is actually to shut up. So when you ask question, shut up. And you see like this embarrassing silence that you create is actually the most powerful tool that you can have to let people talk. And especially, I mean, when you are face-to-face and you ask question, oh great. So, you know, and when you do face-to-face and you attract people, like you want to talk to people, like for example, next to a shop stores, it's very important to say, hey, I don't want to sell you anything, I just want to ask you a couple of questions. Do you have time? Exactly, and you wait, and you just put this embarrassing silence here, right? So it's the same on the phone, it's even more powerful because it's just embarrassing to be on the phone and there is a silence. So you need to mark it, right? So shut up. I remember when we had our call training, we had a little board where every time they started to call, we were like, shut up. Shut up, just to train people, just to mark the silence, right? So you need to practice this. And you know, you are very romantic, and I can see it already about your ID, and like you really want to explain it more and more, but it's important that you learn to have a list of questions that are related to your assumptions, and then you ask them one by one. And you do not need to give everything at once, right? And then again, I think it's particularly at this stage, but do not sell. Do not sell yet. Just verify your assumption, discover, right? If you need to pick up the phone, but also if you need to go and approach people on face-to-face, just smile. Smile, and even on the phone is stupid, but people can feel when you smile on the phone if you reach out to people. And it actually also gives you not authority, but it gives you confidence. Meaning that when you are taking the phone, and it's kind of a survey, right, what you're doing, and you are stressed and you feel tense, it actually gives authority to the other person on the other hand, because you can feel that you're not confident, right? So if you stand, I usually like to stand up as well. So you stand up and smile and just think about your last party or your girlfriend or your mom. I love my mom. It's super important that you just smile before to pick up the phone, right? And then you need to challenge your prospect always. So for example, this is more when you already have a strong value proposition and you really like have something to follow up on. So one of the most common objections that you will get is, that's fine, send me an email. And that's actually an objection, and it's just very normal objections. And you just need to acknowledge the objection. That's great. Thank you very much. I will send you an email. What is your email? Okay, great. So what do you want me to send in the email? Is actually the best way you can reply to this objection. And it will very often create, you know, very interesting conversation like, I don't know, what do you do? And the what do you do is the very proposition that we need to define, right? So that's a very tricky question. And then, so the cold email, so this is for bigger companies. So it's not sure, you can really see what are the numbers there. Yeah, okay, so very quickly, what we are looking at, it's a tool called Yesware that we use to kind of outreach companies. And what this tool does is we can create cold email templates that we send to companies, to most likely decision maker or influencers, with stages. So if they don't reply to my first email, I will automatically follow up. And if they don't reply to my second email, I will automatically follow up. So I don't need to follow up automatically, manually, okay? And so what we are looking at is the first column, it's recipients, and then the second one is open rate, then the third one is click rate, so we don't track this for some reason, I can explain you afterward. Then we have reply, and here we have actually 55% reply rate, 50% and 55, 48 and 47% reply rate. So the average reply rate in the industry is between 8 to 12%. Right? Actually, 8 to 12% is actually a pretty good reply rate. So how do we reach 55, 48, 47% reply rate? So here, to give you an example, it's called, the template is called Media Director Intro C3. So it means we did already C, so it's like the third kind of template, and we had 3 iterations in this template. So of course, it takes practice, and you always need to kind of tune and update, verify, blah, blah, blah. But then eventually there are also some easy kind of best practice that I can give you, that I can share with you. So the email of the subject has to be aligned with the content of your email, right? So for example, it's super easy to send emails and to have a big open rate. You just need to send RE, and it will look like you are sending an email and then you are actually replying to a conversation. But then the first thing you do is you actually trick the person that just opened your email. So the first relationship that you kind of event that you create with me is a trick, so I don't want to talk to you. right? So you will have bid open rate and low reply rate. So the subject has to be aligned with what you're offering. I really like also the subject where you have question regarding pain, question regarding KPI, because that's really what you want to do. You want to ask a question, you want to discover, you want to verify, right? So it's super important that the subject has to be aligned. And then your email, and that's part of the value proposition exercise, has to be no more than 7 lines. In this case, less is more, definitely. And the benchmark when we design cold emails to outreach people to verify your assumption is you just send it to yourself, and if it fits on your mobile phone, then it's a good email. Because that's most likely what's going to happen. And you see it more and more today. I'm just looking at all my email here, and if they are important, I just mark them as unread, and I will reply later. Or maybe I'll just reply here, right? So it has to fit on a mobile phone. So I know your product is so great, and your service is so great, and you are solving so many problems, and you want to tell me everything, but just put it in 7 lines, okay? And also it's very important that for every single email, you focus on one value proposition. So there is one pain point that you can address in each email, in each outreach, every time you pitch, okay? And that's related to the, different ICP, different decision maker, different influencer, and so on. So do your homework. And talking about homework, this was super time consuming to kind of research all these people. So now you're reaching out to them. Just show them what you have done. Like it's actually very, people are impressed and they feel kind of important that you kind of look them up. And you are deciding to reach them because of this and this and that. And that's some research you've done about them. So just include the homework in your template. It's actually flattering for people. And then simple call to action. And when you call the reach by email, the call to action has to be a closed question that they can reply by yes or no. And just in general as well for the future and when you start working in companies, you actually have way better reply rate in general when you send email where people can reply by yes or no. Just rather simple, right? Instead of, what do you think about this? Like, dude, seriously, I mean, I never heard about you before. I just give you 5 minutes of my time. I read your email, and now you want me to write you some kind of love letters? No way. So just, make simple email where they can reply by yes or no. And the only difference when you make an email where they cannot reply by yes or no is when you reach decision makers and you ask for a referral. So, could this be of interest for your company? Yes or no? And if yes, can you please put me in touch with the right person? That's the only time when you put 2 call to actions. Okay? And this is an email that we sent with one of the startups in our company that were actually exactly at the stage where you are. They had an ID, they had no product yet, and they just wanted to see before we started to invest money more in the company if this ID was valid, right? So the startup was called Hello Hungry, and that's their pitch. So the subject is food startup. Well, you can read it. So food startup is looking for feedback. It's straight to the point. They had 45% open rate on this one. And to be honest, I think we improved it later and they kind of tweaked the subject. And then it's I first name. So obviously they put the first name in there. My name is his. That was Vitotas. I'm the co-founder at Hello Hungry. And that's the elevator pitch here. We are developing a drink for busy professional. So I can relate myself as a busy professional. And that's how you reach me. And this is what they do. And this is what I want you to achieve afterward. So you see here, they are able to say what they do in 7 words or less. What they are doing is a healthy alternative to beat hunger. This is what they do. Right, so it's pretty clear. And then they create a social proof. And they show their homework. So what is a social proof is when you are kind of saying that other people in X industries or other professionals in X industries are actually, or if you have already clients, this is a social proof, right? Using this and this. So what they are saying is they have already positive feedback from various industries. And industries come actually from their ICP profile and where they made lists. So the industry always change. So this is the homework part, and this is what they want. Here, and that's why I picked this email, because it's not really a very late stage startup. And here what they wanted to do is just to test their product. So why they reach out to these people is, here's my idea, we have prepared 3 samples, we want to select premium beta tester in London to collect as much feedback as possible. Do you think this could be of interest, or I'm just wasting my time? So they also had this kind of very fun call to action at the end, like kind of catchy. And so they had 11% reply rate on this email alone. And then they had follow-up, right? And that was just good enough. So they were not selling, they just said what they do, and the goal of why they are reaching out to collect feedback. Does it make sense? Cool. So then we're going to do a very funny exercise. Well, let's see if it's funny or not. So I think you received some homework, I don't know if you have done it or not, to prepare, to present your companies in 7 words or less. Did anyone do that? Yeah? Super. I need 3. Did you do it or not? Not this part. So who has the pitch of his or her company or the group in 7 words or less? Okay, super. So do you want to do it or not? No? Okay, do you have it in 7 words or less or not? Okay, I need 3. So how many I have here? So can we have some volunteers coming down for this exercise? Yeah, so please. And you want to do it as well? Okay, super. So just to give you like, and you can Google it afterward. This exercise is actually very interesting. It comes from actually Nobel Prize. So it's scientist Nobel Prize. When they are actually presenting their research, they have to present their project, which is very, very, very nerdy, in 24 seconds, and then they have to pick 7 words. Okay, so who wants to start? So the first exercise is I'm going to give you 24 seconds, and you need to present your company in 24 seconds. And then I'm going to ask you to present your your project in 7 words or less. Okay? No. So you need to present in 24 seconds.
Or less.
No. And then you need to present it in 7 words or less. Okay? Yeah, I will stop you. You probably won't do it. Okay? Okay? Just tell me when you're ready. Okay. You ready? In 24 seconds.
Okay.
Go.
So our idea is to collect and transform bio-waste into new products and energy. And I don't know what else.
We did that.
No, what? I don't know. It's so much time.
Okay, so let's try. So maybe give me more details in 24 seconds.
More details.
Okay, let's try again. Go.
Okay, so our idea is to collect and transform the bio-waste from urban area into the new products and energy. We would collect the waste and in a new way, yeah, and use them for the production of composts, fertilizers, and energy in the future.
Okay, not bad. So 23:59. It was good actually. Very good.
Okay.
Very good. Congratulations. Can you give me your pitch in 7 words or less?
Yeah. So
The last one.
no.
First. Okay. So it's collection and transformation of bio-waste into new products and energy.
Okay, can you write it down?
Yep.
And put the name of your project.
Kažkur neparašyk ir bus gerai. Bio-waste collection and transformation.
Who's next? Okay, but try to present in 24 seconds.
Nope.
Okay? Okay. Do you want to try? Okay.
So 24 seconds, yes?
You ready?
Yes.
Yeah. Go.
So we are a sports activity club, a social network that connects sport enthusiasts, trainers, group training, and places where people love to do sports. Our offer will build a community go in for sports, exchange knowledge and insights, and to create a unique social network to promote participation in a sport. And if you don't have a buddy,
Now tell
It was improvisation. Okay.
7 words or less.
Sports activity club for sport enthusiasts.
Cool, perfect. So you can write it down on the board afterwards. Okay, are you ready?
Yes. So we are working on cups that won't pollute our earth. That would be reusable. We're trying to find the solution for that, and our company, our clients, would be coffee.
Coffee. Okay, what did they do?
What?
No, I'm just asking there was a team. What are they doing?
Something for coffee.
Okay, do you have the 7 words?
Yeah. Environment, cost, and user-friendly hot drink cups.
These 7 words? So you can write it down. Okay, cool. Are you guys ready? Thanks. Are you ready? 24 seconds, right?
Okay, so we are going to manufacture the drone with a thermal vision camera, and its works principle is very simple. Let's say someone enters the camera view, it has a thermal signature, drone fixes that photo, sends it to the security officer's base with the GPS coordinates. So, that's it.
Okay. Good, 22 seconds. And now tell me what you do in 7 words or less.
Drone lives instead of your family's lives.
Wow, okay. I mean, this is super weird, but your 22 second was better. Usually it's the opposite. But wait, you need to write it down. Okay. Cool. Okay, good. So now if I'm correct, these are all B2B products, right? Actually. Okay, good. So now imagine that you are a company in the recycling industry. I'm sorry if it's not the good target. Can you read this and tell me what I do?
Bio-waste collection and transformation into new product.
Yeah, of course. So tell them what they do.
You collect bio-waste and recycle it to new forms of energy. But I don't know what kind of products or what kind of energy.
So that's good because you just ask a question, and you know if I'm calling you and I'm giving you this speech, and then I shut up, then you ask me questions. So it's a good one. Yeah, so it's good, it's good. Or if you put this in a cold email, it's kind of short enough to explain what you do, and then you can have later content, right? So it's a good 7 word or less. I'll try to make it shorter though. Yeah. But it's a good one. Okay, now let's take that they are a club, right? A gym club. Okay, so you are a gym club. Okay, you have like members that are coming, you have coach, and you are running a business, right? And you need to improve your business. Can you read this and tell me what they do?
It's a new type of sports club for sports enthusiasts. Or I just needed to read it.
Yeah, but so just tell me what they do. So what is their service for you as a gym?
New type of sports club.
So for a gym, they offer you new type of sport club. So they are competitors to you, or?
Not really. They're offering us a new idea how to improve ours.
Okay. So do you want to talk to them? Okay. So I think we agree you need to work on your 7 words on your elevator pitch. But good. It's good effort. Okay. So here, would you target the coffee shop?
Coffee shop, yeah.
Coffee shop most likely. Okay. So now you no. You guys, you are a coffee shop. So you read this and tell me what I do.
They provide cost-friendly cups for the users.
Mm-hmm.
So, but they wrote that it's environment.
Mm-hmm.
So it has to be recyclable, probably.
Yeah.
But was it coffee?
Oh, exactly.
Was it coffee cups or just
Coffee and tea, I would say.
Hot drinks. So it does cup.
like what I understood, like hot drinks, cups and sustainability.
Yeah. So do you?
I wouldn't say what from these words, but like I could make the suggestion.
So, but do you understand what he is doing?
From this?
Yeah. So what do you think he is doing?
I don't know exactly.
But what do you think?
Suggest like I'm saying like it would be it could include sustainability for drinks and cups.
But okay, but what do you think he is doing? They sell cups.
Yeah.
So is it what you do?
Yes, we will try to clean, of course.
Okay. So then it's not bad actually. If you think that that's okay. Yeah, tell me.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Important to be more precise about that cups. What kind of cups? Like small, big, precise.
It doesn't. If it matters to your, if it's a KPI for the decision maker that your cup has to be smaller, so you can say. If it matters, if it's an espresso bar that they target only, then maybe, right? But the main idea is like you are coming to me. No, the main idea of the 7 words is not about precise or anything. It's about that I'm asking you what you do, and you tell me 7 words and I get it. And if you can tell me 3 words and I get it, right? That's the main idea of the 7 words. Okay. And then the last one. So can you read this and tell me what they do?
Draw this instead of your family life.
So what are they doing? What do you think is their services?
Maybe it should be employees.
I don't know. It's too late.
It is creative, but it doesn't show.
No, so just tell me, what do you think? If you don't know anything about the ICP or anything, like if you don't know anything about the homework we've done, what do you think they do?
It seems like people lives is not so important like knowledge.
Yeah, but what do you think they do?
What they do.
Yeah.
They're caring for drone lights.
Okay, super. Yeah, exactly. But okay, good effort. I think it's good. So you got the idea. Like if I ask you what you do and you tell me this, I have no clue what you do. Like the drone lives. I think this one was pretty good. Well, this one is a rather simple product, so you cannot keep it simple, so it's okay. I think this 2-1 still needs some work, especially this one. But it's good. Guys, let's just give them applause for the exercise. It's a very good exercise. Okay. Now we have the last one, so you can actually go back and sit. And we have some boxes there behind. So if every team, so it's 1 box per team. It's the last exercise for today. So if one team can just grab box, they are behind. So if you can just pass them around. It's 1 box per team. There is nothing in the box. Okay, guys, and they also have markers and sticky notes and some stuff that you can use to write on the box. There is nothing in the box. You don't have to open the box.
I see some problem.
Yeah. Do we have people without team? Yeah. So do we have people without team? 2 people? So maybe you guys can, do the exercise together? Or not? Or who needs member? Okay, so if what you just do the exercise on your own and then you have your box to pitch to find a team. Okay? No worries. Okay. Every team has 1 box? Do we have team with 2 box? Good, because you need 1 box. So do not open the box. Okay, every team has something to write on the box. Okay, cool. So let's get started. So I want you to imagine that whatever you sell, your product or services, is in this box. Right? And your product or services will be among many other boxes, right? And what you have on the front of the box is what we call, if it will be a landing page, if it will be a website, this is what we call the hero shot, right? So when you arrive on a website and there is this banner with some beautiful people that look so perfect in this Disney world and everything is great. So this is your hero shot. So this is what you have to put here. And here you need to put your 7 words or less. Right, you need to put your elevator pitch. Or you need to put, if you think this is not good enough, you need to put what you think is the best that can, people will just walk in this shop and they'll just look at your box and see this and that's it, they understand what you do. Right? So I believe in the 7 words or less. If you believe that your unique selling points is actually different, just do it. If you need to draw people, if you need to draw something, if you need to cut stuff, put some sticky notes on it, you can do it as well, right? But this is like the first part of the box, okay? Then you need to put social proof. So social proof, again, it's a reference, logos, if you have been featured in the media, stuff like this, right? So you can put it on the logo, like logo around the boxes, stuff like that, okay? And then you have to put the 3 key benefits, right? So please don't give me features. Do you know what's the difference between features and benefits? There is actually a great example of it. So I really like this comes from a blog called User Onboard. And basically if you take Mario, when he's eating these flowers, Mario becomes a better person. So the benefit is Mario when he's stronger. Right? That's the benefit. So the benefit is what people can do once they use your software. Or your services, your product, sorry. Right? So they are just, so bring them to this Disneyland where everything is so awesome once they are using your product or services, okay? And this, I want you to write it, at least 3 of them, or maybe if you only have 1 benefit, just write it at the end, and just paint a picture, right? Paint a picture around this. And then you can pull what we call CTAs, means call to actions, right? So you can put call to actions wherever you want. But there's 3 types of call to action. You have like the very aggressive now, start now, buy now, whatever, and then you have like the softer one, learn more, book a call, blah, 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 okay? And then eventually you have the super, soft one that are resource oriented, like download a white paper, like read more on our blog or whatever, right? So you can also do that. Imagine it's a box, but it can also be a web page. And you have 10 minutes, okay?